There's a perversion in film watching these days that gobbles up links between movies. Easter eggs are a fetish, shared universes are uber fashionable, and filmmakers take as much pleasure as pornographers in hiding their clever little links in their movies to other ones. You'd be amazed how many films actually pull this off and how many of them are so wildly different at the same time. Where else could you see a gory, low-budget horror tied to a glossy tentpole blockbuster? Where else could you see The Punisher in a Spider-Man film? Where else could you get your very specific kicks for cross-references? Here. I'm gonna do them now. I'm Ben from What Culture, and here are 9 movies you didn't know were connected. Number 9. Jaws and Piranha 3D. Since the original Piranha was a tongue-in-cheek riff on Jaws, it made sense for the remake to doff its cap to Spielberg's masterpiece too. But Piranha 3D appeared to go above and beyond the call of duty by roping in Richard Dreyfuss for a cameo and dressing him in a suspiciously similar garb to Matt Hooper from Jaws. While the character is dubbed Matt Boyd in the credits, both Dreyfuss and the film's director have made no secret that the character is really Hooper. He even sings "Show Me the Way to Go Home," and there's the obvious meta gag of him surviving the shark but getting eaten by the piranha instead. Dreyfuss also made no secret of the fact that it was the rather large check he was offered that convinced him to return to the character. Number 8. The Evil Dead and Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. While some fans will defend Jason Goes to Hell, the franchise's second failed attempt at a final sequel, it's really not great. Yes, it has the creative gore and a couple of cool scenes, but the story is a mess and the score is awful. It also reveals Jason is a demonic worm who hops from body to body, and he only appears properly in the opening and closing scenes. The film becomes famous for the last shot, however, where Freddy Krueger's claw bursts out of the ground and grabs Jason's mask, which sets up Freddy vs. Jason. What's less obvious is the way it ties itself in with the Evil Dead movies, with both the Necronomicon and Kandarian dagger from the franchise being found in the Voorhees house. One theory suggests Pamela Voorhees probably used the book to bring her son back to life, kicking off the whole nightmare. Number 7. Spider-Man 2 and The Punisher. This is a relatively minor link, but during the finale of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, Mary Jane is seen running through the park in her wedding dress, and a scowly dude dressed in black turns and looks at her. The commentary track reveals this character is actually the Punisher, and he was inserted as a fun link to the Thomas Jane film that came out in the same year. Legally, they couldn't actually say he was the Punisher or invite Tom Jane to play him, so they used Jane's stunt double instead. Who knows? Maybe there's an alternate universe where Jane and Tobey Maguire teamed up in a crossover Punisher Spider-Man movie, which couldn't have been much worse than the eventual Spider-Man 3. Number 6. Spy Kids and Machete. Despite both franchises being created by Robert Rodriguez, the Spy Kids and Machete movies couldn't be more different. One is a bouncy, colorful adventure series aimed at kids, while the other is a tribute to sleazy grindhouse movies. But dig a little deeper and you'll realize that Danny Trejo's Machete is actually the older brother of Gregorio Cortez, the father of the Spy Kids. In the original movie, the kids visit Uncle Machete Cortez at his shop where he makes various gadgets, and it turns out this is what he does in his spare time when he's not a badass secret agent hacking people up with sharp implements. Fun! Number 5. American Psycho and the Rules of Attraction. Despite the iconic appeal of Patrick Bateman as a character, Christian Bale wasn't exactly keen on franchising him up, so he turned down a direct sequel and the offer of a cameo in The Rules of Attraction, which was based on another Bret Easton Ellis novel. The plot follows Sean Bateman, Patrick's younger brother, during his stint in college. Like his brother, he's not exactly a nice guy, and director Roger Avery wanted to shoot a scene where Patrick and Sean meet. When Bale turned it down, Starship Troopers star Casper Van Dien stepped in, but Avery apparently disliked the resulting scene so much he'll never let it be shown. The only reference to Patrick left in the movie now is when Sean answers a phone and asks if it's Patrick he's talking to. Number 4. King Kong and Brain Dead. When Peter Jackson's dream to make a King Kong film finally came true in 2005, he positively loaded his version with Easter eggs and nods to other movies, including one of his own. The opening scene of his splatter comedy Brain Dead actually takes place on Skull Island, the mystical lost island from King Kong, where explorers capture a Sumatran rat monkey and take it back to New Zealand for study. Inevitably, it turns out to transmit killer zombie diseases. Bummer. With such obvious ties, Jackson was hardly going to pass up a reference, so in the background of his Kong remake, a cage clearly labeled Sumatran rat monkey is seen in the ship's cargo hold. Number 3. Slither and Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn didn't appear to be the obvious choice to helm Guardians of the Galaxy, since his first two efforts were quite dark and gory, but he took to blockbuster filmmaking remarkably well, and even managed to inject his own personality into it, making it the best Marvel film ever made, because I said so, na-na-de-na-na. He also paid respect to his first film, comedy horror gem Slither, which saw a small town being infested by slimy, body-snatching alien slugs. They reappear for a cameo in Guardians as part of the Collector's collection of weird monsters. Number 2. Unbreakable and Split. While Unbreakable wasn't the money hoover The Sixth Sense was, it was still critically acclaimed and is arguably M. Night Shyamalan's best film. It's also the film fans have been clamoring for a sequel to since the ending begs for one. And finally, with the return-to-form thriller Split, Shyamalan gave everyone what they want. The last scene is set in a diner where a news report details the events of the film. A patron points out how it reminds her of a crazy guy in a wheelchair who was arrested 15 years ago before Bruce Willis appears as David Gunn from Unbreakable and tells her his name was Mr. Glass. Number 1. Prometheus and Blade Runner. It was a joyous day for Alien fans when it was announced that Ridley Scott was returning to the series with Prometheus, and while it was divisive, it was still very entertaining. It also introduced us to Peter Weyland, the elderly founder of Weyland Corp. Peter has a bit of a god complex going on and is determined to meet the race who created humanity so they can grant him more life. This arc sounds a lot like Roy Batty's from Blade Runner, who also seeks out his creator Tyrell in the hope of gaining more life. While fans had speculated Alien and Blade Runner could be in the same universe, Scott decided to seal the deal. The Blu-ray release of Prometheus contains an Easter egg confirming Weyland and Tyrell were once friends and competitors, and Weyland comments on how seeking godlike status didn't work out well for Tyrell. Didn't work out well for him either. And that's our list. Are there any other weird film links we missed off? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can even follow me here on Twitter if you fancy. I'm Ben from What Culture, and thanks for watching.